So it's one of the biggest movies of the summer. I'm almost a week late reviewing it, and when I do review it, I'm not even in the backseat of my car. Well, come on guys, I'm not Superman or anything. Yeah, I just made that joke. Deal with it.
It's just another war, just another family torn, from my feet today. Just a step on the edge, just another day in the world we live. I need a hero to save me now. I need a hero. I need a hero.
The distant planet of Krypton, which is basically inhabited by these superhuman-type aliens, is about to fall apart at its core. Two Kryptonian parents who had just given birth to the first naturally born Kryptonian in centuries decide to save their child by launching him to an unknown planet, Earth, before the planet is destroyed. Now, years later, that baby, who is now known as Clark Kent, has grown up and is having trouble fitting into society, so he decides to go on this personal quest to find out who he is and where he's from. He soon discovers his origin as an alien from another planet. At the same time, another surviving Kryptonian, namely General Zod, finds Clark on Earth. He decides he wants to eradicate Earth of its population and use this data of sorts that's inside of Clark in order to revive the fallen Kryptonian race. Clark, who now feels himself as an inhabitant of Earth, decides to fight back against Zod and save the human race. The first thing you need to know is that these opinions you're about to hear are coming from someone who knows very little about Superman. Basically, all I know about Superman lore is, his secret identity is the, nerdy Clark Kent. His biggest enemies include General Zod and Lex Luthor, and he's from Krypton, which was destroyed when he was a baby. That's basically all I know. And, Kryptonite as his, big weakness. That's basically all I know about Superman lore. So I really went into this movie blind. So if any of the questions or concerns that I raise are answered in, the comic books or in, other forms of Superman lore, then I apologize because I really wouldn't know. I'm just going off of what I saw in the theater. This was a fun movie, I'll give it that. The problem is, it's very convoluted and it lost me a few times. Honestly, I feel like the way that they got Clark Kent, or Kal-El as his real name is, to Earth was really needlessly complicated. And, that could very well be the same as how it is in the comics. I didn't really buy it. And a lot of it had to do with Zod. Because even though I actually liked Zod in the rest of the movie, but his intro, his appearance in the opening scene is really confusing. And I don't know if I missed a line of dialogue or something, but for me, it really didn't work when, they're having this discussion about, we can only have weeks left on this planet before it, implodes. What do we do? And then all of a sudden Zod just swoops in and tries to kill everybody. And I really didn't get that. And I even, before I started filming, I looked on Wikipedia and IMDb, tried to look up some plot, and all it says is the, council or whatever is ambushed by the rebel Zod. And it doesn't really give an explanation why. And so if there is an explanation, I'd love to hear it if whoever sees this, but I really didn't see any point to that, other than to set up Zod as the villain. So then we get to the main part of the movie, which has probably some of the most bizarre pacing I've seen in a movie in a long time. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but just the way they decide to progress the story and the pace they take is really strange. At one point, he's in this huge accident in like the ocean, and you see him like floating underwater, and then he has a flashback to when he's a child, and then it cuts back to present day, and he's in a completely different location. He's in like a bar in like, you know, up north somewhere. Like, and it's jarring sometimes how quickly it jumps around, but it was never bad necessarily. Like it never really took me out of it. It just kind of took me back a little bit. Like, what exactly is going on here? What tone are they aiming for? What is their intention with this way of telling the story? And it left me a little confused sometimes. One thing I really didn't like about the movie was the way that Clark Kent gets the Superman outfit. Basically involves, I hate to use this because this is a stupid joke, and I already made one stupid joke in this video, but it involves Ghost Dad. It involves his dad who died, who was killed by Zod when Clark was a baby. It involves the dad coming back as like a spirit or like a hologram or something, and explaining his origin to him, and then basically giving him the outfit as like this is like a family uniform, or this is, you know, this is your heritage, this represents whatever it represented, like strength or hope or something, I forget, but you know, it was a representation of what what their family and their race stood for. And that's all well and good, but that bringing the dad back as like a hologram or whatever, that just was really, it seemed really forced to me, and I really didn't like it all that much. It seemed like a really lazy way to kind of shove the exposition in, and I really wish they would have thought it out more and been a little more creative than just, oh no, just bring back the dad who's dead, you know. He can still communicate even though he's, you know, beyond the grave. No explanation really, he just sort of appears, and he keeps doing that throughout the movie to offer more and more exposition and explanations. It just seemed like a really lazy gimmick, a really lazy form of writing. Despite all that, however, I did find this movie to be a lot of fun. I was not bored in that theater. I was never bored. Confused, yes. Lost a few times. But there was enough going on to where I was never, you know, checking my watch. I was never wondering like when something was going to happen, because something was always happening. And I guess that's kind of the positive behind the pacing of the movie, is that stuff is always being thrown at you, but in a good way, to where it always keeps your eye. So I have to give the movie credit for that. As far as acting goes, I thought Zod was great. I thought the actor did a great job, and especially when Zod has his comeback, like, you know, whatever, 30 years later when Clark's an adult. I really liked, first of all, the build up to Zod. I know that's going outside of acting, but you know, I really love kind of building up, like, oh no, what's, you know, it's been 30 years, he's had all this time to prepare, what's he going to be like, what's his plan? They do a really nice build up to that. Then when you finally see him, the actor does a great job of just being intimidating, but also being relatable, in the sense that you know why he's doing what he's doing. He wants to bring his fallen people back to glory, but the method he's choosing is by eradicating innocent, you know, billions of innocent people. It's a really good balance, and you can see the conflict in him, and I thought that was really good. Superman himself was fine, a little wooden, but he did his job. And the rest of the cast is basically the same. They do their job, but no one really stands out. All in all, I had a good time. I don't know if I'd see it again. Maybe just to, you know, try to understand the plot a little bit more, because it was really confusing. But then again, I don't really care that much about the movie to, you know, warrant me sitting through all of it again just to understand it a little bit more. Yeah. This is kind of a one and done for me. I had a good time, but I'm probably not going to be thinking about this movie later today. If you're a fan of Superman, if you're a DC fan, I'm sure you can find some enjoyment in this movie. I haven't read the reviews. I hear there's like division or something. I'm not sure over what. I'm gonna check that as soon as I'm done filming this. But apparently, some things are not as people would wish they are. I don't know what specifically, but in my personal blind view, I think if you're a Superman fan, you'll find something to like. You might not love it. I certainly didn't, but I think you'll have fun. And that's where I'll leave it. So, yeah. And that's it for this edition of the Backseat Reviewer. Check out my written review, which will be coming in the description below. And until next time, this is Capn Sammich, signing out.
I'm just a step away, I'm just a breath away, losing my faith today. Falling off the edge today. I am just a man, not superhuman. I'm not superhuman. Someone save me from the hate.